Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. Vitamin Water was born in New York because New Yorkers wanted more. Like more flavor to go with all the flavor. A refreshing drink after climbing 6 flights of stairs to a walk-up apartment, or standing in the subway station in 100-degree heat. Focus when I have an 8-hour shift, and Triple X after I was out all night at a club. Call Triple X. Drink vitamin water. It's from New York.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Coaching Youth Hoops Podcast.
They're playing basketball.
Here's our hosts, Steve Collins, and Bill Flitter.
All right, welcome. Coaching Youth.
Coach, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
I know.
Good to talk basketball another day, so that's always fun.
It's always good. And we're gonna talk about communication, which is what we do to all of you every day.
Yeah.
Yes,
right?
I know.
Sharing our love of the game with you. It's a passion for us to share what we've learned over the last
we're not
20, 30 years.
We're not buying an island on what we do
No.
doing youth basketball podcast, but hopefully people are getting we hope that you get something out of this, people that are listening. And if you are, we would love a review. We haven't asked for that in a really long time.
No.
We would love for a review or a thumbs up or whatever people do,
and however you're listeing, if you enjoy the content, we'd really appreciate a shout out. We want to be the number one youth basketball podcast on Apple.
Yes.
We know we're not going to make to the number one podcast on Apple in general, but the youth sports arena.
Yes, we could maybe someday. So let's give a big shout out to Game Changer. We're the twinsies today, so that's good.
Yeah. So gc.com/coaching youth hoops. We appreciate Game Changer as a sponsor, keeping the content free and fresh, and twice a week, right, Coach? Again, gc.com/coaching youth hoops. Check it out. Keeps track of your stats, your video, and helps you organize your team.
All right. So we're talking establishing communication.
Yeah, with your parents.
Game Changer doesn't Game Changer use?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely one of those tools you should be using to keep your schedule. But think about as you're planning your season, how often are you going to communicate to your players and team? What are you going to say? This is something I've learned recently. So I have a club team. I send out a weekly newsletter email to all my parents every week. And it has really helped from a retention standpoint, from just knowing that all the stuff that I do, right? That maybe they just don't know, all the things that are happening in the program. Like if I'm an 8th grade player, well, how's the 3rd grade team doing, right? And it's short, it's not long, it's just little things. When's the next practice, camps, tournaments coming up, successes of past players, right? We talked about, one of our past players is now, oh my gosh, graduated, going off to college. and got a D1 scholarship. So she's
Right.
playing, so that's, obviously speaks to our program and her hard work. But yeah, I do it once a week.
I think most breakdowns occur, most problems for coaches, and doesn't matter what level, probably even more at the youth level, is them parents not knowing.
Right.
It's lack of communication. It's them not knowing what's going on.
And I guess what they talk in the stands then, right?
Right. And it's the same for me during the regular school year, or when I do summer school, whatever it is, with the parents that I teach and coach. It's like, as long as they're not always happy, but I'm like, they do know what I'm talking about. Like, here's when the tryouts are, here's when this is going to occur. So I think establishing that early and often is better.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have lived in those households when our kids are doing 77 different things.
Right.
And there's 18 whiteboards keeping track prior to Google Calendars of everybody. When coaches didn't communicate, and we didn't know that Tuesday's practice got canceled because, coach has to have a bunion taken off his foot, or so, I don't know, some weird reason that, that's the issue. That's when the like the cartoon steam starts coming out of the ears. It's like, what the heck? How do we not know this?
Well, I think even, and I know you just use that as an example, but just knowing that you're doing something, they just paid a bunch of money in my case, right? It's not a high school team, right? It's not the school's grade school team. This is a club team, and they just dumped a bunch of money to have their kid play. So what's coach doing? What's he doing between practices, between games? Just, again, like you nailed it. It doesn't matter if it's a youth team or your marriage. If you're not communicating, everything breaks down, and you have to do that.
And I was teasing before about Game Changer, but it's like, that is a great way to keep your schedule updated. Here's what we're going to do. Here's when practices are.
Games that even, think about communication, expand that definition of communication. We're just saying updates, right? Well, stats is communication, video is communication, right? Seeing your kid play is part of that communication process. How are they doing, right? In the games. But email is one. Text seems to be picking up in popularity as far as communications. If they're short, little, like using a tool, simple, WhatsApp tool to help you with communications. But something, and you should decide what your cadence of communication is going to be up front, so you can calendar it yourself to say, oh yeah, I got to update my parents on what's happening with the team. Doesn't have to be long, but just something that goes out on a regular basis.
It can be short. And here's what we're thinking, and here's what we, all of that.
Well, that's the other. I mean, that's a really good point. I just put out the newsletter on Monday this week, and I asked parents, I'm thinking about doing this program. If you're interested, if there's some interest in this type of program, just reply and just let me know, so I know I'm headed in the right direction, and you would, something you'd be interested in doing, right? Yeah.
So if I'm scheduling it out, anything. All right. Anything. Summarize again, Coach.
Yeah. This is the best thing you can do right now. Go to coachingyouthhoops.com/season-checklist. This we talk about
87,000 things. I'm exaggerating, but it's like, it's long, people. It's everything you need, and you might not use
hopefully we covered everything that you could possibly happen in a season. And it is just basically a checklist. It gives you thoughts on what you should do during the season. It's a bunch of questions. For example, what information in this particular one, what information needs to be regularly shared with parents? Okay, well, what is it? Game schedules, updates, important, right? Then it gives you a place to address all of those questions that are going to happen during your season. So again, coachingyouthhoops.com/season-checklist. Check it out for more information and details on planning your season.
All right. Till next week, Coach.
Till next week.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.